What's up, everyone? My name's Ashura, and welcome back to the Kingdom. I've got the Reverie for you today, and I've got JuneSongTCG with me here today to explain Lim. JuneSong, take it away.
Hello, everybody. Um, I've been playing Lim. I've been cooking on Lim since she got leaked way back in July, June, whenever it was. And at first, I kind of just thought she was a meme. And as I started to play her more, I realized she can actually get work done. And so, thought I could try to spread the good word of Lim here and show people how to actually play her, because some people, I've seen their lists and they try and they're really not doing what I think they should.
They're not cooking. Is it like negative spice? Is that what you're telling me?
It's negative spice. They go a little too in on the Odyssey and not the other stuff is what happens.
Okay, so you're telling me there's a perfect ratio that you've mastered here?
I wouldn't say master. I don't think yet. I think I'm getting close though. I feel like I am the closest we can be.
Okay,
Maybe.
okay,
I
I
don't know.
like that. I like that. I've got my deck list up here. I've got the leader for you guys, just in case you guys don't know what Lim does, because I know she is not that common around these parts. Activate main, rest 3 Dawn, set up to 1 Dawn from your Dawn deck rested, then play a cost 5 or lower Odyssey character from your hand. So we've definitely seen this, kind of type of leader, so to speak, and a few others. Also, special condition, your characters enter rested. So, first off, we'll focus on that. Tell me, that's a pretty big negative, I would say. Everything can essentially swing into you and your stuff right away. So, how do you
Yeah,
overcome
it
that?
is. It is a pretty big negative, but a lot of the Odyssey cards are built around that, such as like the Dofi 5-cost Dofi will restand itself with 2 or less characters active. Or sorry, 2 or more characters active, and so will the SR Lim with 3 or more characters active at the end of your turn. They'll restand, which kind of lets you keep the bodies on board against stuff that isn't running removal, which I know is a lot of decks, but they need to actually have removal to remove them instead of just swinging at them.
No,
And that
that's
also
that's
helps.
absolutely
Yeah.
fair. I always say, make the deck have it, right? Make the person have it,
Yep.
because even if they have it, they're not gonna use it if you don't play something. So just play your stuff out. If it gets removed, stuff happens. Like, you gotta just play something else and get through it, right?
Yep. And one of the big cards in Lim is the 5-cost Sanji. That card lets you take a life and play out an Odyssey or Straw Hat character cost 4 or less from your trash. That really helps keeping a body on board. If you like, that's what I want to see first turn.
Really?
Because I'm always using my leader ability. It's a 5/6, which is like a decent body. 6K body on turn 2 is pretty good.
Okay.
And
So
that just helps keep my board and keep my hand full as well.
absolutely. Are you aiming to go first or second in this deck, by the way, or is it really matchup dependent?
It's first most of the time. And really, like, even against like Shanks, which I kind of want to go second, I still going first is fine because you ramp it up to 9 Dawn very fast and you can slam down the 9-cost Zoro, which if they can't get rid of that early on, that's like a huge threat. It's crazy.
Oh, absolutely. The threat of Nine Cause Zoro really can't be overstated, because it really is a card that might not necessarily just win you the game on that next turn, but it's such a heavy value maker that you are forcing your opponent to use removal on it if they have it.
Yep.
And so I see the 9 cost, I'm not even going to try and pronounce his name, but I know he's an Odyssey character.
The audio.
Okay, so on play, leader has Odyssey type, set up to 3 Dawn cards active, on opponent's attack once per turn, rest 1 of your Dawn cards. Okay, so Actually, I have a question for you about this. He is incredibly strong. I wanted to pull that up so everyone could read him. I didn't 100% remember what he does, but just from a quick look, he's pretty strong. Is there a reason why you've only got him at 2 of?
He's deceptive. He looks good, but I mean, you need him in something else good. He's not good alone. He's good when you already got a board up, you play him down, then you restand your Dawn, and you use your leader ability to drop another threat. I mean, that's really good, but in a case where if you're just dropping just a 9 cost, a Shanks or a Zoro, honestly, to me, does a lot more. And then it's a way bigger threat. He's a good, like, kind of...
Is he good for stalling? Is that what he's for? That's what he's the
I like
stall
to
maker.
use him when your opponent's not really doing much. And even if they are, like, you gotta make him do more.
Okay. I think I hear what you're saying here. And so I see here we also got... Because I love that you're taking advantage of purple in this, by the way. I know it's heavily green, but nothing irks me more when we got a dual-colored leader and the whole deck is literally one color.
Yeah.
So I see you have 2 of the Kaido and Lin. How often are you playing that, and how often is that winning you games?
Not often. It's a dream, and it doesn't really pan out a lot of the time. But when it does, it's really fun, and that's why it's there. It could be, another slot in the deck for something better, but I personally like it, and it's good against like Shanks or like other 5-life leaders. It's definitely helped me win Shanks, which kind of is hard because that deck has a lot of removal.
It does, but if he doesn't have it, then I mean you're wiping his board, which is pretty...
Yeah, and 12k is hard for them to get rid of unless they have like the perfect cards in hand or on board.
Absolutely. Not to mention, I mean, like, that one swing from Kaido and Lin is essentially if they're taking it without blockers, 2 life that they're losing.
Honestly, most decks, like, only like Sabo or like Borsalino can even live against their KO everything.
Oh, I forgot that's part of it too, the KO everything. So, another question then. Is Lim an aggro deck, or are we trying to stall to late game like Enel? Tell me, what's the game plan of Lim?
It's aggro. It's like...
Because to me, it doesn't quite strike me as an aggro deck. Like, I'm seeing higher cost stuff here, and the ability, while it does read as, essentially save 2 Dawn because you can use 3 to cheat out at 5, I also see you got a 3-cost Lim character. I'm just not getting that vibe, so convince me.
It's like a swarm aggro deck, because if they're putting everything into going into your bodies, and you're like, that's all you're doing. You're not really playing a lot of characters that kill, unless it's like very specific, like Shanks. So you just want to put out as many bodies as you can and make them swing into them so they're not swinging into your life. And like, you're running out of hand really fast too, so it's not like you have a lot to hold on to make any like controlling plays either.
Okay, that's very fair. So, are there any combo wombos in the deck that you might want to share with us that, you like to pull off, that you're consistently looking for?
A pretty crazy bracket combo is a turn 1 law search. Hopefully grabbing... And a law is really good because you can get you Zoro.
Oh, that is absolutely true.
You can also run a lot of most of the Straw Hats, or most of the Odyssey cards are Straw Hat.
Which is very huge. Law is a very big upgrade for this. Not upgrade, but very huge for this deck.
And it's good actually having a body that, if you don't hit the Sanji on turn 2, you could play out Dofi, Then you swing that law, doesn't do anything, but at the end of the turn, you have 2 rested characters, so you restand your Dofi.
Oh, very
It's a little
facts.
like
Because he counts
just helps
himself,
like with
doesn't he?
that. Yep.
Okay. Yeah, so something
It's
good to
like
remember
a
as Lim
yeah,
is those characters who have those abilities to restand, they count themselves in the equation.
yeah. And if you want to like getting out like Sanji on turn 2, and then your next turn when you're on 6 on, you use your leader ability for something like Dofi or Sabo, and then you play out the Searcher Limb. Hopefully, get more cards in hand, more counter in hand, and then that's 3. That's a 2 6Ks and a 5K on board that your opponent's looking down, and 2 of them are active, and so
That is pretty
like
tough. I
yeah,
mean,
and then your Sanji is a holds off too, like or whatever, like he stays on board, well, not necessarily, but he keeps a threat on board if they kill it.
absolutely, absolutely, because he'll just bring something back. These on KOs, I always love these cards in particular that are like Pythagoras or Kikunojo, where
Yeah,
they have a negative effect for your opponent. It's not something that's gonna lose them the game on the spot necessarily, but it is a hindrance. So
yeah, it's something they got to think about. They can't just mindlessly, you know.
can't just
It
mindlessly
is,
clear it.
yeah. It's nice that there's the film 2K Sanji. If they like swing 7 into that Sanji, the 5 cost, you 2K that one, and then next turn you let it die and play out the 2K. He's still like he's a 5K body, and he has the added effect of with the Dawn times 1 gain 1,000 power for each 3 rested Dawn. So he could be swinging like 7K, 8K pretty easily.
Wow, no, that is a very cool combo wombo because Sanji is not restrictive on what he brings out, so it's not like bring out any forecast that isn't named Sanji, for example, like some
Yeah,
cards. Okay, no, that's amazing. Honestly, that's a cool combo I hadn't thought of. And so the Sanji can also bring back. Let's look. Usopp, 2 more rested characters. Draw 2 cards. Okay, so this is a filtering card, while getting
yeah,
a body on board.
yeah. He's like just a filtering card. Sometimes it kind of hurts to play. It hurts to play him out of hand. I would say. I will say he's a lot better off of Sanji if you can make him work. Because going down 1 card is a little rough unless you really need it.
No,
But
absolutely. Although I could see that if you're bricked up in your hand or
there are
you
a
just
lot
don't
of
have the
bricks in the deck.
right cards, you're trying to find your answer or that one of Shanks gotta, find
Yeah,
it so you can play it.
another nasty combo is Kaido and Lulin, and then on your next turn you can play out the Robin, which makes all your characters immune to KO, all your Straw Hat and Odyssey characters. So you can my favorite combo with it is leader ability out Dofi, 3 Dawn for Lim, search, and then play out 4 Dawn for the Robin. And then I swing with Kaido and Linlin, and all my board is still alive. Well, hopefully KOing my entire enemy's board.
That is pretty disgusting because, I mean, you might be down Dawn, but after that, they're either dead or going to be dead.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, there's no way they can clear enough of your board that you can't just Dawn up and go in on them. Because, again, Kaido and Leland have that -2 life differential when they swing into someone is so killer.
Yeah.
All right, so tell me then, what are your strongest matchups and some of your weakest matchups here?
I think actually really pretty good matchup, surprisingly, is Black Yellow Luffy
Really?
because
Definitely tell me more about that because we just had a Black Yellow Luffy win our Nats.
yep.
So that is not nationals, by the way. But yeah, tell me more about that because maybe we can have some people get on limb to counter the Black Yellow Luffy resurgence. I feel like we're gonna see here pretty soon.
I mean it's not free. It's not free, but when they're
Very
running,
little in this life is.
yeah, when they got like their main source of KO is that the 5-drop, the Rocket Luffy that KOs a 4-drop. A lot of our main threats are 5 costs, so you kind of duck under that. And honestly, with your characters all being rested, like I can you can really hold back, and when you're ramping up like so quick, if you get a Zora down, it can be hard for them. You can put them down to like a pretty low life and put them in an awkward spot. Like if they're at like 1 or 2 life on like 7 Dawn, like it's kind of weird for them to want to use leader ability.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's just like when you want to
yeah.
put something back into their life to mess up their plays.
Yeah.
Okay.
And like another thing is I basically have 10 copies of Usohachi that rest a 5-drop because I have the Ace, Luffy, and the Usohachi, and they all rest a 5-drop for 3 Dawn. Well, the Ace and the Luffy, you need to use your leader ability.
Absolutely. But I mean, we're doing that.
They
most
rest those
time in this
Sabos.
deck.
Yeah. You're resting down their Sabos and then swinging in big with, if you can get like an audio or you got Zoro on board. And even if, I know Black Yellow Luffy is, 11k and they run a lot of counter, but eventually they'll run out, and hopefully.
Oh, absolutely. I mean,
it's if they can sit there and spam Sabo every turn while they're just slowly whittling you down with like Morias and stuff, then yeah, but it's a bit easier to put them in an awkward spot where they can't do that.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, being able to put their Sabos down and kind of just go in, even if they are oftentimes that 9k leader, it is you can still get them just because they do still have to counter. I mean, there's been times where I'm just shooting 10 at them because I know, you might have the counter in hand, you got 6 cards, like you probably have it, you're not going to lose here, but I can at least make you end the turn with 4, so going into your next turn on the draw, you're at 5.
Yeah.
So, I mean, at least you can put yourself in that better spot. And, I mean, you do run Zoro at a 3 of, you have searchers for him. Shanks, Kaido, and Linlin. I mean, these are big bodies that realistically Black Yellow Luffy is going to have a hard time clearing.
And then I have the Robin too to stop KO effects, which can help even if they're running stuff like Shigon Finger Pistol.
Ah, that is very true. I am very forgetful about the finger pistol, but that does play a critical role.
Yep.
Lim is a very
I would say
interesting deck here. I mean, aggro, swarm, and forget about blockers because you're resting everything.
Yep. It's the big thing though is that you really gotta know that you're gonna be low on hand and you can't really count on always having counter. And you really gotta know when to keep a character alive. It's kind of like that's more like knowing your matchup, knowing what your opponent's gonna do on their turns, most likely.
That's fair. So would you say that Lim is dependent on knowing your matchups, or let's just say, if I study the deck list, I know what the combos are, I know how to pilot the list, by myself. Is that the sort of deck you could just go ahead and go play out, or are you going to recommend definitely get that matchup knowledge because it'll help a lot more?
See, that's a hard question because while I've been playing Lim, I've had the matchup knowledge of my opponents. That's like one thing I like to really look at in this game is seeing what my opponents are going to do. So I've always played with that.
Of course.
So, and I think it's pretty important because your turn by turn, what you're keeping up and stuff, what you're keeping alive, that definitely depends on who you're playing against. I think the matchup it's probably about like 60% knowing your matchup, and then 40% just ramp and play Zoro and hope you win.
Okay, no, that's fair. I asked that question because oftentimes you can find the more meta decks like Dofi and, in its prime Zoro are decks that you just stick to that game plan of
Yep.
I'm gonna do my thing and go ahead and both of those it's basically smack face. Or,
Yeah.
I know Enel has been called brain dead at times, even though sometimes I don't agree, sometimes I do agree. But you can sit there and just spam big bodies and not give too much thought on it because you're using most of your Dawn for that. So I just asked that because, some decks are like that, and some of these rogue decks
Yeah.
are more knowing your matchups because you are kind of playing towards that silver bullet in the meta.
Yeah, you're playing on the like the back foot or whatever the saying is.
Oh
You're
yeah,
playing down. You got to play to what you know and your strength is, and kind of hope you can catch your opponent off guard. And you're pulling up to a tournament like I know I'm not going to be pulling up to a tournament. Nobody's not going to know what Lim is doing because I've been talking about it for however long. But if someone else is playing Lim, and they go, your opponent's like, oh, what does Lim even do? I don't know what's going to happen. Like, are they going to play audio and then you slam down a 9-drop Zoro and the rest of their blockers? Like, oh, well,
precisely. I mean, that's exactly how it goes. We just had Buggy D Wuggy on here, and he was saying the same thing. Just that he's had to tell so many people like, hey, this is what my leader does. Don't forget it, essentially.
yeah,
But I love
yep,
that. I mean, like being able to just essentially show people a different experience than what they're used to. I think that's pretty cool.
yeah.
So tell me, how much fun have you been having with the deck? I know you said that you were playtesting it a lot when it came out on the sim. How has that been translating to in paper?
Um, we we got some pretty sweaty locals, I would say.
I agree with that.
It's not like sweaty. It's people using like good decks, and we got good players here.
Absolutely.
Like,
Everyone is it's always a good time. Like sweaty
yeah,
doesn't mean not fun, but
yeah.
it is very
So
competitive.
I'm going up against like rounds of Shanks, and I actually haven't played the Blackbeard yet, but like Shanks, Purple Luffy, Red Purple Luffy, Blackbeard. I know I just said I didn't play Blackbeard, but I'm expecting stuff like that.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you tailor the deck kind of towards what you would think you're going to see, right?
Yeah, and so it's kind of those decks are very strong. Shanks, Dofi, Purple Luffy is I think better than people say it is. It's like, especially against Lim when he can spam out bodies
Oh,
like
absolutely.
that really hurts.
For sure. I mean, I was giving Robin a try at the beginning of this set, and not afraid to say, definitely got my butt handed to me quite a bit. It is tough to not be using a leader that is immediately, meta or good off the rip, right?
Yeah,
Definitely requires some more fine tuning and I'm not gonna say play experience, but more dedication to finding that like right path. And
yeah. I've
so
been doing like okay at locals. I've been going like 2-2, 1-3 most of the time. I've only gone out to like, it's been kind of busy around the holidays, so I've only gone out to like maybe 3 locals with Lim. So I haven't really had the time to build the skill against good players. Like, because on the sim, it's honestly like, it's not a comparison.
for sure, I always think it is easier to like play against people on the sim just because I don't know for what reason, but if people are always playtesting something different, even on ranked, but it's definitely harder when you go over to like paper. I think to make those results happen.
And when you're playing someone like, you sit down against someone that and they're a strong player, it kind of, puts you in different than, oh, this is some random person. Like, you know,
For sure, there's a mental factor that goes into it
yeah.
absolutely with the card game. Absolutely. So, what is one card that you want to see for this deck? So, like, if I told you, like, if I could let you make one card for OP11 or whatever set will come out next, what would you like it to be?
I want it's I've thought about that a lot, and I'm on I'm kind of cheating because I can't decide on two options.
Okay, okay. So tell me
And
both. I'm ready.
I'm not really getting, I don't know the specifics of it yet. I don't, but I just want either something that can cheat out bodies, if that's where the game is going, to everything is just cheating out a ton of bodies quick. Limb to stay on top needs to keep up. And I know
On
O10,
efficiency
she
for
gets
sure.
better. I'm not sure. I haven't looked at it because we don't have that on the sim yet. And so I've been play testing it. But if that's where the game is going, I think Lim needs that. Or something that like is a rusher for Lim somehow. Like you play it and it can restand, and then like I don't know, maybe to balance it out, like it can like doesn't untap, or it only restands if your leader's an Odyssey.
Maybe you got tapped down
Something
over
like that.
yours.
Yeah. Something like that. Because a rusher would definitely help with this, a lot of rush in the meta. Like not I
There's
don't
an
want to say a
insane
ton of
amount, I
rush.
think. I think there's a good amount. I think most decks
There's a
are
lot
running
of
some at least.
pressure on swings that like Shanks just is doing so much, and he's countering out so easily that you need like way more pressure against him. And like Dofi always swinging out like at least 7K.
That's
Like
facts.
it's rough to be in the receiving end. So if you can put your opponent on that same level, like at least kind of, would definitely help.
Okay. I like that. I like that. So something to help cheat out bodies or something to rush down your opponents. Okay. I was just about to be like, Secret Luffy, and it's searchable. Comes in rested.
Yep.
Gross. Maybe a card that doesn't, like, negates your leader effect. That'd be kind of cool.
Yeah.
Like, that way it's like your opponent has to remove that to, like, then mess with you. You see what I'm saying.
Yeah. Because then you could play like Odie.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
that would be like too, I think that would be too circumstantial. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm
It's like
excited to
a, if
see
it's
where
like a
they go
big
with this,
body,
though.
yeah. Yeah. In set 10, she is getting like some good support, like a lot of draw support, restand support, stuff like that to just kind of, and she's like winning more events in Japan at least. I know our meta is pretty different from Japan and the results are different, but
No, that's something to take note of, though, because always when
yeah,
something makes a wave over there, it typically makes at least some of a wave over here. I would say
yeah,
the one exception to that was probably Rebecca in '04, but other than that, they have had a good indication every now and then, like usually about like at least the leaders. Maybe not the deck list entirely, but the leaders at least.
I think they just play a lot more careful in Japan,
I agree. I would agree with
which
that, seeing some of their
depending on
gameplay.
what your leader is, that's helpful. But over here in America, we go unga bunga,
That is certainly
like
what it feels like at times,
yeah,
huh? That's so
like with
funny.
Jonas doing good last year in Worlds with the no, and Japanese players thought like a no was terrible.
Oh, absolutely.
At least like not a lot of people brought him, and then he's over here like, oh well, let's just play down these bodies and heal.
I mean, yeah, I mean, he had the vision. And that's why
Yep.
you guys heard it here first, folks. JuneSongTCG is going to be going to Worlds next year, taking Lim with her, and they are going to kick ass and take names. Isn't that right, JuneSong?
Yep. Be kicking ass, taking names, and giving those names to other people.
There it is. And thank you again, JuneSong, I appreciate you joining me today, explaining Lim, giving us all some stuff to think about, some thought food for Lim. I'm sure we're all going to be looking at this leader quite differently now.
Yep, I'm always here to yap about Lim. So
Well, definitely get some more experience with Lim. I definitely want to do some updates with leaders, especially once Lim gets some more support in 10. We can definitely come back and revisit Lim. Would love to have you come back here to the Reverie, and I'm sure everyone here would love to have you back.
yeah, I will gladly come back, hopefully with some wins on my belt next set. So
Heck yeah. Things only get stronger from here, right?
Yep.
And there it is, guys. Everyone, make sure you go down below to the link of JuneSongTCG's channel. Make sure you give them a sub and a like. Go ahead and give me a sub and a like. And take it easy, guys. Peace.